Major Laura Brock, and I will be your narrator for today's ceremony. On behalf of Major General Evan C. Durteen, Commander, Air Force Test Center, welcome to Nellis Air Force Base and to the change of command of the Air Force Test Center, Detachment 1, or Multi-Domain Task Force. During today's ceremony, you will witness Lieutenant Colonel David L. Levine relinquish command to Lieutenant Colonel Michael S. Fritts. Lieutenant Colonel Fritts comes to us from the 411th Flight Test Squadron, Edwards Air Force Base, California, where he served as the Director of Operations, and you can find his service history detailed in your program. For the purposes of military protocol, this is considered an indoor ceremony. All military personnel should stand at attention for the playing of our national anthem and not salute. We invite our civilian guests to participate by standing and placing their right hand over their heart. The ceremony you will witness here today is deeply rooted in military tradition and dates back to the reign of Frederick the Great of Prussia. During this period, organizational flags were developed with color arrangements and symbols that were unique to each unit. When a change of command took place, the outgoing commander would pass the flag to the individual assuming command. This gesture was conducted before the unit members so that all could witness their new leader assuming command. This historic and honored tradition continues to demonstrate the significance of the assumption of command in the finest of military traditions. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the presentation of colors and the playing of our national anthem by Miss Natalie Fritts. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our civilian and military distinguished guests in attendance today. We ask that you please hold your applause until all members have been introduced. Major General Evan C. Durteen, Commander, Air Force Test Center. Lieutenant Colonel Lieutenant Colonel Levine's family joining us in person today are his father, Stephen, and stepmother, Joan. Joining us via live stream are his spouse, Tiffany, and daughters, Hannah and Emily, along with other family and friends. Lieutenant Colonel Fritts' family joining us in person today are his spouse, Giselle, their daughters, Natalie, and son, Tyler. Also in attendance are his parents, Bill and Terry, his Aunt Linda, and Uncle Dick. And joining us via live stream are his sister, Barbara, brother-in-law, Craig, and their children, along with other family and friends. From Edwards Air Force Base, Chief Master Sergeant Timothy J. Weiser, Command Chief, Air Force Test Center, and Mr. Michael J. Silos, Director, Test Management Division, 412 Test Wing. We'd also like to welcome all commanders, Chief Master Sergeants, First Sergeants, Airmen, and teams from Edwards and Nellis in attendance today. Please join me in a round of applause for all of our distinguished guests. It is my pleasure to introduce our presiding official, Major General Evan C. Durteen, Commander, Air Force Test Center.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here today. I think we're going to label everyone that's here in person the MDTF Superfan Club for actually attending in person in the heat here today. It means a lot for all of you to be here, and for those that are online virtually, thanks for joining us. We appreciate your attendance today and just support for the MDTF and also the Levine and the Fritts' family. So for me, it's an honor to be with you here today for this important event. Every transfer of command is important to the organization and its mission partners, but this event is significant to the Air Force, the Space Force, and all the military services due to the important role the Multi-Domain Task Force plays in the development and integration of joint capabilities that support our national objectives. The Multi-Domain Task Force is on the leading edge of ensuring warfighters are best postured to maximize the impact of integrated air, space, and cyber capabilities. In a few moments, we'll transfer the guidon, bid farewell to Lieutenant Colonel David Amp Levine, and welcome Lieutenant Colonel Michael Hijack Fritts. But we also have the opportunity to celebrate the achievements of an innovative test organization that has already established a reputation for rapidly delivering stellar results. So before we go too far, first of all, a warning. My remarks are about 35 minutes. Luckily, my superpower is making things shorter, so I don't think it'll take more than about 29 minutes. But first of all, I want to thank family and friends for attending here today. Great to have in person. Obviously, to Amp's family who's here, who's virtually attending because of household goods. I'll come back and talk a little bit about that later. So thanks, Tiffany, Hannah, and Emily for being online today. To the squadron commanders and mission partners of the Multi-Domain Task Force, we appreciate you being here. The men and women of the MDTF, I would look in the audience, but most of them are around making all this happen. It's a small team that's multitasking, so thanks for everyone for supporting that. And then everyone joining us from the Air Force Test Center, and obviously our mission partners here at Nellis Air Force Base. Before we go too far as well, just a thanks to the 99th Air Base Wing Honor Guard, and also to Natalie Fritts for that awesome national anthem. Let's give them a round of applause. And as I mentioned, a lot of work behind the scenes making this happen. So a special thanks to Miss Barb Painter, Tech Sergeant Piatowski, Major Brandon Burfeen, Major Laura Brock, and the entire MDTF team. Well done. So on the 1st of October 2020, the MDTF was stood up and began its official role as a central point for integration of test programs, adding momentum to the Air Force's drive towards the joint all-domain command and control environment. The MDTF supports multiple activities. First, it enables collaboration between test environments like our large force test events such as Orange Flag, Emerald Flag, and Black Flag. The MDTF provides new capabilities to better leverage data across our dispersed test enterprise and also works to solve challenges associated with weapons program offices' security rules that inhibit integration. In addition, the MDTF is on the leading edge of developing new ways to test emerging capabilities and also helping shape our information operations to ensure we maintain an information advantage over our adversaries to deter future conflict. This small team of extremely talented individuals spread across multiple sites, including Nellis, Edwards, and Eglin, is making an oversized impact on the test enterprise. They support thousands of multi-domain testers and are knocking down long-standing barriers that limit the ability to test like we fight. The MDTF is serving as a catalyst to empower our platform-specific organizations to execute more joint integrated testing. Under Lieutenant Colonel Levine's leadership, over the past 2 years, the MDTF has continued to exceed all expectations. They continued to grow the organization from the ground up, including funding, facilities, networks, hiring, setting the vision and the culture for a new paradigm in test, and also built on the foundation that Chris Klug delivered when he was the first director here. They established a multi-security data analysis in the cloud, making complex data exploitable, which will help the Air Force Test Center utilize data in new ways and enable innovative advances such as visual test reports and interactive data products. They crafted an information operations campaign in concert with the Pentagon to help increase our information advantage over our adversaries. And they have also performed many classified activities that will have a direct impact on our future warfighter capabilities. Bottom line, the MDTF is solving challenges that impact the entire test enterprise and are scaling the solutions to maximize our warfighters' advantage. Lieutenant Colonel Lean's visionary and caring leadership has been impressive over the past 2 years. He worked tirelessly to ensure each member was personally invested in the success of the mission and the team. His expertise, experience, analytical skills, and leadership style has been the perfect match for the MDTF's growth and transition from an idea to an established organization with a stellar reputation for results. The number of customers that are now asking to partner with the MDTF is a measure of AMP's leadership ability and the outstanding MDTF team. AMP, thanks for your passion and leadership for the MDTF. You've truly made a significant impact. However, I know you would be the first to give the credit to your MDTF teammates and also to your family. As mentioned previously, Tiffany and daughters Hannah and Emily can't be here today because they're already in Washington, D.C. unpacking household goods, which is one of the many challenges military throws at us with moving, and just shows that the military career is truly a team sport. And while we will highlight the MDTF's success and also AMP's leadership and the incoming values of Colonel Fritts, it's with tremendous support from their family members that enable that kind of support. So they're there accepting their household goods, experiencing the unique family challenges. I also heard right before they departed, their daughters took advantage of the heat we're experiencing right now and opened up a lemonade stand in Vegas. I think they bankrolled the entire summer vacation, earned, $106 or something like that. So for your innovative spirit, you must have gotten that from your parents. Congratulations on the success, and hopefully you'll enjoy living back in Virginia again. Well done. Tiffany, thank you for all you have done to support David's military career and the Air Force. I know he appreciates your support despite the demands of your own professional endeavors, and much of AMP's success is a result of your love and support. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy being back in Virginia. Lieutenant Colonel Levine's next assignment will be working for the Secretary of the Air Force in the Pentagon to further advance our information operations and classified test capabilities. AMP, safe travels as you head out to join your family this weekend, and best wishes on your next job in the Air Force. I have no doubt we'll see you in future senior leadership roles. Congrats on a job well done. So it always amazes me that we have such extraordinary airmen ready to step up when another leader moves on, and today is no different. Luckily, we have the perfect team to lead the MDTF. It is my pleasure to introduce the Fritts. Lieutenant Colonel Michael Hijack Fritts, his spouse Giselle, daughter Natalie, and son Tyler. Welcome to the MDTF. The Fritts family is already a part of the Test Center team, but we are excited to have them at the helm of the MDTF. Hijack brings a wealth of operational and test experience to the MDTF, and most recently served as the operations officer at the F-22 Combined Test Force at Edwards Air Force Base in California, where he helped deliver many new capabilities for the F-22. So a few interesting points from his background to help you kind of get to know Colonel Fritts. First of all, he signed the paperwork to join the Air Force on September 10th, 2001, one day before 9/11. So imagine the Air Force you thought you were signing up for and the status of the nation, how that changed overnight. But I'm sure that strengthened your resolve and your commitment to do something great for the Air Force. I know, like many of us, you were inspired by F-22s and other planes when you were younger and a chance to fly. He's a graduate of MIT with a degree in aeronautical and astronautical engineering and was commissioned on the USS Constitution in Boston Harbor. He has subsequently earned several master's degrees, including an MBA. He started as an F-15 pilot before transitioning to the F-22 and then is attending test pilot school and also completed a fellowship at DARPA. I also always like to find out how the two of them met, and I understand it was a chance meeting on the MIT campus, and back then Facebook only existed in a couple colleges in the Boston area, so I'm not sure if Hijack was officially the first cyber stalker, but apparently he was able to track her down, and in a brilliant move on the first date asked her if she wanted to go flying, and apparently it worked, so congratulations. I'm not sure she realized what she was signing up for the Air Force career, but many moves later, she's still with you. And when I asked about what some of the bigger challenges that have been for you, I understand, Giselle, that you've protected your kids from bears in Alaska. You guys survived a whitewater rafting incident down the Kern River in California, and all the challenges. So thanks for everything you've done to support the career, everything you do to support our nation, and we're excited to have your family as part of the MDTF. These are all flybys for you. Apparently they disregard quiet hours around here. So being an Air Force family presents the unique challenges, and we talked about those for surviving here. But despite all those moves, also the children continue to thrive. Natalie, that was an absolutely awesome national anthem. We might try to use you at some of the other test center events. That was really good. Well done. I also understand you got a recent presidential award for academic achievement. And to your son, I hear you're trying to take on your dad in wrestling, and soon you might be able to pin him. I know from personal experience, while that's a humbling day when your kid can finally pin you, you're also secretly proud that your kid's strong. So good luck with that, and we'll be cheering you on. So Hijack is a natural choice to continue the MDTF's groundbreaking work. He was involved in the grassroots of the MDTF from a previous assignment at Eglin Air Force Base, where I also had a chance to work with him. In 2019, Hijack was part of a small group of officers who began talking about the need for an organization to take on multi-domain test and experimentation. He was the founder and driving force behind the creation of the Emerald Flag Large Force Test event at Eglin Air Force Base, Florida. This event brings together numerous air, space, and ground platforms with data links and other command and control capabilities to test and validate integration. Emerald Flag has become a premier test event that is helping mature emerging capabilities and test our ability to actually operate and communicate as a joint force. Congratulations, Hijack. Command of a military unit is one of the greatest privileges our nation can entrust to an officer. It demands integrity, leadership, and sacrifice, putting the needs of the mission and your people first. I have full confidence that you are ready for the challenge. I know you will continue to develop and grow this fantastic MDTF team, and this will likely be one of the highlights of your career. Eric and I are excited to have you as the family leading the MDTF. Congrats. And finally, to the MDTF team, thanks for your vision, your passion, your focused efforts, and all the results you have delivered so far. I'm confident you will continue to advance America's capability to deliver combat power. Thanks.
Thank you, General Durteen. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the Meritorious Service Medal. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America, authorized by Executive Order 16 January 1969, has awarded the Meritorious Service Medal, 1st Oak Leaf Cluster, to Lieutenant Colonel David L. Levine for outstanding service, 9 July 2021 to 21 July 2023. Lieutenant Colonel David Levine distinguished himself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Commander, Detachment 1, Air Force Test Center, Edwards Air Force Base, California. During this period, Colonel Levine established 3 geographically separated units, implementing all aspects of the test mission: manpower, security, safety, facilities, financial management, and oversight requirements from the Department of the Air Force, the Office of Secretary of Defense, and Congress. Additionally, Colonel Levine grew the team from 1 person to 20 across 3 operating locations and created an innovative intelligence-based test planning process. Furthermore, he led the rapid creation of a cloud-based joint test data system, solving a 9-year test analysis capability shortfall, leading to the Department of Defense's only purpose-built multi-domain test data capability. Moreover, he saw the creation of the Center's Information Warfare Guidance and led 8 information operations initiatives spanning over 20 units, 8 bases, 3 services, and 14 programs worth over $4 billion, leading to a coordinated information strategy across the joint test community. Finally, he led test activities for 12 programs valued at over $5 billion and accomplished the unit's first 3 bespoke multi-domain tests. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Lieutenant Colonel Levine reflect great credit upon himself in the United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce Lieutenant Colonel David Amp Levine. Please be seated.
All right, I wrote this when I thought there was air conditioning, so I apologize. All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. Good. All right, so yeah, good afternoon, and thank you to everyone for being a part of the ceremony today, both everybody here in person and the folks joining us virtually. It is really difficult to believe it's been 2 years already. I remember thinking back 2 years ago, man, that sounds like a long time, but it has gone by very, very fast. General Dertine, it has been an absolute honor to work for you and to work with you over the last couple of years. Your leadership, your guidance, your patience, and the vision you've set for MDTF has really allowed us to have the flexibility we needed and also the leadership strategy we needed to be successful. And so I really appreciate everything you've done and everything I've learned from you over the last couple of years. Thank you very much. Mrs. Dertine, Chief Weiser, Mr. Silos, Colonel Massaro, Chief Newbarth, all the test wing commanders, leaders from across the test enterprise, the Air Force Test Center, especially the 96 and 412 Test Wing, for allowing us to have operating locations at your bases and to let the MDTF grow into those locations, as well as all of the Warfare Center leadership and our partners and commanders across the Warfare Center and the Navy. It has been amazing getting to work with you and partner with you over the last couple of years. There is no way we could have created this MDTF team without all of the partners I just named and a whole lot more. We recognized very early that the multi-domain mission is inherently joint. It's inherently multi-organizational. It's inherently something that it takes a lot of people to do. And we have gotten more support and more friendship and partnerships and help and lessons learned than we could have ever asked for from the start. So we really appreciate everybody's help there. I know that Hijack and the team are going to continue to look for that help and look for that guidance. I know they'll appreciate continuing all those partnerships in the future. So thank you for helping us establish all that. See if I can find everybody here. To Barb, to Roar, to Brooke, to Siphon, to Rich, and to everybody else who's been a part of the event today. The 412 Test Wing, the Nellis Air Force Base, and the AFTC Public Affairs and Protocol Offices. These events are never easy to put together, so thank you for helping to set this up. I know there's a lot of admin. I know it takes a lot to put some jets in a hangar and get a lot of this stuff set up, especially for the live stream. So thank you for all your help getting that done. And then Natalie, that was awesome. Just to echo those comments, really, really nice national anthem. And when I first heard from Hijack that we were going to have a flute player for the national anthem, I was pretty excited. But that was awesome. So thank you for doing that. Great job. And I have a feeling you might get asked to do that again at some point. That was great. I'd also just like to take a moment to thank Major General Chris Azano, Mr. Randy Walden, and Mr. Devin Kate, who are all senior leaders who were critical in the creation of the multi-domain task force and also helping me to get this job and to be the commander here. They've all moved on to other jobs since they helped create this, but I just wanted to note basically the fact that none of this would have existed without their support and their leadership in making this happen. And then one more name I certainly can't forget to Mr. Chris Klug. If you haven't met him, he's the tech director of the Multi-Domain Task Force. He was also the first director of the Multi-Domain Task Force when it was created back in 2020. The MDTF would not be in its current state without you. It would have been absolutely impossible to get it to where we are now. We have worked together, the two of us, on this mission since way before October of 2020. But seeing what you did to get it started and then watching how you created this and then getting to help you do that was pretty amazing. But then you did something that I really couldn't have expected to ever be able to ask, which is you left your job, you packed up your family, you packed up your house, and you moved here to Las Vegas to take a risk on some random lieutenant colonel and this new organization that hopefully the Air Force was willing to put some support behind. I'm not going to lie to you. I used that risk you took as a motivation to make this place happen. I didn't want to let you down. And so thank you for everything you've taught me over the last couple of years. Thank you for everything you've done. And I know you're going to continue to make this mission awesome. So thanks. To my family, I'm looking at a couple places here because I've got family in person. I've got family online on the live stream. My family has been incredibly supportive of me my entire Air Force career. And really, I wouldn't be able to do this without the support that I get from everyone. To Dad, to Joan, Mark, Susie, thank you for being here in person and coming out from Atlanta and braving the Vegas heat to be here today. And to my many family members watching on the live stream today, your support has been incredible. I know I made a comment 2 years ago when I took command that my family has been present with me for every significant milestone in the Air Force that I've had in my 18-plus year career. But you just continue to amaze me with how much you're willing to drop what you're doing and come out to help be a part of this. And I know Vegas is a great excuse to come out for a trip, but it's really great to have you out here and have you part of this. To my wife, Tiffany, our daughters, Hannah and Emily, who are, as General Durteen mentioned, in D.C. right now getting the house ready. There's no way I could have had this career, and I pretty much owe everything I've got in the Air Force to you and the support and the love and the help you've given me over the last really time I've been in the Air Force. There's no amount of words or there's no speech I'm going to be able to give today that's going to properly articulate what it means to me and how much you mean to me and how much you keep me going in the Air Force. So I'm just going to say that we'll celebrate the end of this assignment and getting together in one place as soon as I get there in a few days to D.C. But I just want to say thank you publicly and let you know how much I appreciate everything you do. Looking forward to being in D.C. and getting some new adventures at the Pentagon. To the MDTF team, I have, I guess, maybe 3 or 4 times now in the last week attempted to tell you how much I appreciate and how impressed I am with what you've accomplished in the last 2 years. And every time I finish talking, I go home and I'm thinking, man, I should have said something else. There was more to add to what I just said. You have amazed me at every step of the way along this journey, completely building a new team in a new place with a new mission. And it is just amazing watching everything you've accomplished. I'd like to say this publicly because you've heard me say it behind closed doors. I don't even know how many times. But many of you on the team took very real risks to be a part of the multi-domain task force. And I mean professionally and personally. Many of you left long tenured jobs. Some of you took pay cuts. Some of you packed up your families and moved them to new places. Some of you did all of the above to be a part of this team and to join this new mission. And it was really a leap into the unknown for many of you. I'd like to think that you had a lot of faith in me, but I know what it really was, is it was an exciting mission. And as each person joined the team, it was becoming clear that we really have an outstanding group of people. Every single individual person has been individually hired because they're awesome. So thank you for collectively being an amazing team, and thank you for personally taking the risk you did to be here. And you've heard so many other things from me the last week, I won't keep going on, but none of this would have happened, and none of what we were able to accomplish would have happened without every single one of you stepping up and being a part of this team. So looking back on it, 2 years ago, I showed up in Las Vegas as, at the time, the only military member of the multi-domain task force, and I was 50% of the entire team. So Chris and I were the entire military organization. It was a time of big plans, but it was also a time of, oh man, what are we going to do and how are we going to do this? We spent the first several months, I'm not even sure how much time it was, just trying to figure out which way was up. It was not uncommon for us to spend all day traveling to a place just to make a phone call or to go on official travel just to check our email. We had no resources, we had no place to sit, we had no computers of our own, but what we had was a lot of support. So certainly we had our own high hopes, but we had the Air Force Test Center leadership, we had the Department of the Air Force and Department of Defense leadership, and in some cases we even had members of Congress or the staff members of Congress pushing us on and motivating us to make this mission happen. The multi-domain test mission is so incredibly important, and I'll talk more in just a moment about what it is that we've been doing to make that happen. But looking back on that 2 years ago, I feel really fortunate that I was given a chance to be a part of the challenge of creating this team. But I also know that there was a lot of risk that went into it, and I know the Air Force had a lot of risk that they took in putting a very small team and giving us a lot of rope to go out and try to make something happen. The funny thing as I think back and as I was writing this a few days ago, I remember 2 years ago as we started and as the MDTF was really becoming an established organization, by far the most common question I used to get from people as I walked around and met folks was, what does the multi-domain task force do? And so Chris and I took that to heart, and we really set out to make sure that everybody knew what we were trying to accomplish on this team. And we spent 2 years, and we hired this team, and we went out and we accomplished all these things. And I look back on that now, and I realize that 2 years later, having reflected on that, now the most common question I get from people is, what in the world does the multi-domain task force do? And so the fact that that question hasn't changed is both interesting to me and tells me that we have a lot of work left to do to really push that multi-domain task force mission out into the world. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple minutes to try to explain, especially for the folks who don't spend a lot of time around the military setting, what it is that we're trying to do here, what we're contributing to the national defense of the United States, and what we're trying to do to create an impact. So there is always a little bit of a challenge when you work in a classified setting or when you're separated out across 3 bases like our team is, or when you have very busy schedules or lots of projects or people running all over the place. It can be very, very difficult to really understand the impact that you're having or to really explain to people the difference that you're making on your mission. And so when I thought back on what does the multi-domain task force contribute, there's a few things that really stuck out to me. So first and foremost is that the Air Force has been doing test and evaluation for a very long time. And the men and women of the Air Force Test Center are very, very good at test and evaluation. But what's rare in this business is a chance to pause and take a step back and sort of reimagine, what are the things that I would do differently? What would I add to this mission? What would I change about test? What would I contribute to test that maybe we just never had time to do before, or we've never had a dedicated team to put towards it, or what are the resources that we've just never really thought about pursuing before? And that, to me, is where the multi-domain task force has really made its mark. That is the role that we fill within the test center. We're looking for those capabilities and those gaps and those mission areas that are bigger than just one squadron. They're bigger than just one base. They're bigger than any individual organization is really able to take on. They're those enterprise-level, test-level problems that we need to help find solutions for. Since threats and technology and the way in which we wage wars has changed over the last few decades, the way that we do test has to change as well. And that is the mindset that we've taken into most of what we've done over the last couple of years. We have basically taken on a mindset that if you're going to plan a multi-domain operation and go to war, you need a specialized team of people that has special skills and special experience and special knowledge to plan a combined multi-domain war. Well, it turns out you need the same thing to plan multi-domain testing. And if you want to test the way that we plan to fight, then you need to put those resources towards it. And that's really where we've been aiming. So to start, the first thing we did is we reimagined how we can approach data within the test enterprise. How do we access it? How do we use it? And how do we make sure that the future is ready for the things we're going to need to do with all of that data? So the multi-domain task force, and I'm going to use some big words here. We built the DoD's first purpose-built, classification-agnostic, cloud-based test data analysis system. And I'm going to answer the question here. So what in the world does that mean? What that really means is that we have a new data system that is accessible from pretty much anywhere that the engineers are. You don't need to be in one place to use it. You don't need to have special accesses to be able to see this data. You just need to be able to see the data that you need to see. So from pretty much anywhere that the test enterprise is located, you can get to data, you can compile data, you can use customizable tools, and then you can move this data into the places you need it and do things to analyze it much, much faster than we've ever really been able to do before in the test enterprise. We'll be expanding this out over the next few years, and the test center is really taking a lead in how we modernize data. But for right now, the biggest contribution this borough has made is making it so that every single test program will have easy access to the data that they need in a very accessible manner using whatever classification they need to see that data in. And that is a big change. It's going to make a big difference for test. So we didn't stop there. The next thing we did is we looked at how we can reimagine test reporting. So we've taken test reports and pulled them out of the old decade ago mentality of I need to publish a printed sheet of paper or I need to have an electronic document. And what we've really focused on is digital, web-based, interactive reports that will allow customers to gain insights that were never possible before from test data. So what that really means is instead of a sheet of paper from your test, you're now going to get an interactive online experience at whatever classification you need that to be at. That's going to allow better use of all the data that we just talked about a moment ago. It's going to allow programs to make better decision-making off of their data. It'll allow the warfighter to understand the capabilities of their systems better. And that's the whole point of all of this, is bringing new capabilities to the field faster and so that the combatant commands can use them more readily. But again, we did not stop there. So to better prepare our systems for tests in the real world, we built a pioneering test-focused intelligence team that allows us to plan and execute testing that better reflects the ways that systems will be used in the real world and the environments in which those systems will be used. This team has already had real impacts on tests. For example, we've won praise for senior leaders for the products we've produced. We've created events and led to results that were never possible before the creation of this team. And we've shown people the power of using this new intelligence-focused mindset in the test enterprise, and it's I think one of the crowning achievements of the multi-domain task force of the last couple of years. Again, the theme here is better capabilities to the warfighter and better capabilities for our national defense. So in the midst of all that, creating that team, creating the data capabilities, standing up the building, getting facilities, hiring people, and doing all those things, we've done some multi-domain tests. So it turns out we've also planned and executed some high-impact multi-domain test events for a very broad range of programs and capabilities. We are not a one-stop shop. We've supported a pretty wide array of customers. We have preparations for even more testing along the way, so I'm happy to say that we expect to be able to probably support twice as many tests in the next year as we did this past year. I think that's a realistic trend, and I think that will only continue to grow over time. So the test capabilities and the way that we do test is only growing. We have continually pushed the envelope on what it means to plan a rigorous, relevant, and secure test. So to do this, we had to get creative. We've created absolutely brand new test techniques. We've created new ways to measure and mitigate test risks. We've built hundreds of new partnerships across the government. And we've done all of that while strengthening our multi-domain focus, including the awareness of the information environment, to enable the Air Force Test Center to assist in the fielding of war-winning capabilities. So in addition to all of that, we've developed new ways to integrate the test and evaluation enterprise into the operational planning process that will make future systems and future test events more responsive to the warfighter, and again, deliver better results to the warfighter in a more timely fashion. So that's a lot of stuff, and that's a long way of saying we've been really busy over the last couple years, but there is still a lot left to do, and I am sure that the multi-domain task force team is up for it. So, hi Jack, I'm incredibly excited for you. A former boss once told me that the best time to be a leader is to be the third leader of an organization, because the organization is now old enough that you don't have to focus on building it, but it's established enough that you can really focus on the mission and have fun with it. So you get to be that third guy, you get to have the most fun, and I'm jealous, but I'm really excited for what you're going to do in the next couple of years. So I can't wait to see what you accomplish, and I'm really excited for the team to be able to do some more. So thank you to everyone for being here today. Thank you for the support over the last couple of years, and I really appreciate what everybody's done for the multi-domain task force in the last 2 years. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the publishing of the orders and change of command. Attention to orders. Under the provision of Air Force Instruction 51-604, Special Order Number 0-23-19, dated 19 July 2023, by direction of the President, Lieutenant Colonel Michael S. Fritts is appointed Commander, Air Force Test Center, Detachment 1, Multi-Domain Task Force, Air Force Materiel Command, Edwards Air Force Base, California, effective 21 July 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Commander of the Air Force Test Center, Detachment 1, Multi-Domain Task Force, Lieutenant Colonel Michael S. Fritts. Please be seated.
All right, luckily my speech was still there. Good afternoon, everybody. Wow, it's hot in here. I am extremely humbled to be here. I can't believe it. Just want to say to all the teammates that put this event on, to Barb, Roar, Nellis PA, Brooke for standing there for the heat, the Edwards PA, the Honor Guard, Natalie with the flute. It was amazing hearing that. I'd love to hear it again. Nellis AMU for the amazing aircraft. You know, and then getting to share the stage that Colonel Animal Diversity got to use this morning for his retirement. Very fitting, big mentor of mine. Probably one of the reasons I'm standing here today. Lucky to use this hangar. So one of the people said for multi-domain task force change of command, are you going to have like a satellite up here with you with the airplanes? And I said no, but I guarantee you there's a satellite overhead right now, and there's two amazing aircraft, and the electromagnetic spectrum is full right now. General Durteen, or Colonel Massaro, Chief Newbarth, Chief Weisner, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it, for supporting. For fellow commanders and especially partners across the test enterprise, Edwards, Arnold, Holloman, my OT partners here at Nellis and all the Nellis partners, thank you for being here today. Fellow leaders and teammates, military, civilian, contractors, other partners across the greater whole of government, means a lot that you're here. And then just I stand before you today extremely humbled by this experience, the event, the attendees, and the meaning of what this means to me personally, to my family, to my friends and colleagues, and to the Air Force. So I'm going to tell you, buckle up, because if you guys know me, I don't shy away from a chance to talk, but I promise I'll do the best I can to get through this fast. Rare opportunity that I get to speak. So this was not authored by ChatGPT. I got to say that. No AI agents. This is the words myself. So General Durteen, thank you for the opportunity, sir. I've worked with you at Eglin, at Wright Pat when I was in the down at Eglin, and then at Edwards. You've been in my chain of command as a senior leader, and now I get to report to you directly. So thank you for this opportunity to lead this amazing organization, sir. To AMP, man, we met like 2 or 3 years ago when we started this grassroots effort between me and you. You're in D.C., I'm in Eglin, some guys out at Edwards, crafting the idea of this organization, and then seeing where it's gone and where you've taken it is nothing short of remarkable. Walking around the halls of the Pentagon, pitching it, and then where we're at today and where we're going, I cannot be more excited about what I'm taking on and more proud of what you've done and happy to fill your shoes. And then the last several weeks you took spending time with me to get me spun up for the job. So thank you. To the F-22 team that I left at Edwards, the Air Dominant CTF, a lot of them are here today. Thank you for the opportunity to General Heiger, the team there that brought me there, to learn and grow as the Director of Operations. The experiences I had there, the things we accomplished, definitely helped shape a lot of what I am today. 1 second, water. To previous commanders that I have had, colleagues, mentors, and friends, a lot of you in the audience today, some of my old fighter pilot buddies from my first squadron, my weapons officer, people I've worked with throughout my career. It's great to have you here. And I mean, being perfectly honest, I'm completely shaped by the people I've been around. We're all shaped by the experience we've had. There's no self-made people. So I've taken something and absorbed something from all of you. So thank you for being here and for that support. To my parents, you guys dealt me the pocket aces poker hand. You know, here we are in Vegas. I just had to play the hand. So thank you so much for what you gave me, Mom. To Giselle and the kids. I've got some gifts for you guys. I'll give you the gifts afterwards, but Giselle, you've been my greatest supporter. 15 years, we just celebrated our 15-year anniversary. Command is a shared responsibility, and especially this assignment, we'll be sharing it together as we prioritize the family on this next challenge. To Natalie and Tyler, Natalie, what an amazing job. You guys persevered 5 moves with me. Tyler, at one point you were 5 years old and you had lived in 5 different states. Now, how many kids can say that? So I'm so proud of you both, proud to call myself your dad. Thank you for the resilient kids you are and the leaders you're becoming, and thank you for sharing the Air Force, me with the Air Force one more time. I will always rush home to you guys. I'll get better at texting you directly, and there's no challenge that I will not be there by your side as you endure. To the men and women of the Multi-Domain Task Force, Air Force Test Center Det 1, and then informally the greater community that's conducting multi-domain tests, the orange flag, emerald flag, black flag, gray flag, the formal cadence of events. I stand before here today incredibly humbled and then excited by the ability to help shape this growing enterprise, where the enterprise is going. With a mission so critical and a scope so vast, I can think of no greater challenge as an incoming commander, and it's a challenge that I openly embrace. So many of you know I'm a little bit of an academic, a little bit of a nerd. I love my podcasts. I love some audiobooks. I'm a YouTube learner. I'm a craver of information. So one of the TED Talks that I really like is Simon Sinek's Start With Why. And what Simon Sinek says is that a lot of leaders of a lot of great organizations realize their true potential because they develop a great culture, they deliver amazing results because they understand their purpose of their beliefs. And often organizations fail when they fail to start with why, but instead they just talk about what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. So if I were to just start with the what, I would say we're going to develop and equip the Joint Force with the best capabilities we can. We're going to use all the assets across the ranges of AFTC, the wings, the squadrons, the groups, the aircraft, the ground facilities. And why? Because our nation's called upon us to do it. But I feel that there's a much bigger story to tell, and there's a lot more purpose, so I'm going to start with why. The why for me is I believe in competition, I believe in opportunity, and I believe in perseverance. I believe in competition. I believe that right now we are at an inflection point in our nation's history. If you look at the amazing things that we've done when we get serious about a problem, right? But the last 70 years of prosperity, we've had basically the last 70 years of prosperity, we've grown very comfortable and very lazy. When unchallenged, nations grow very uncomfortable and very lazy, and the rest of the world grew up, they watched us, and they took notice. In the global landscape we live in today, we're competing every day on multiple fronts. Our pacing threat, let it be known as China, the rise that they are taking in biotechnology, artificial intelligence, advanced communications, a hyper-financed and inflated economy, advances in compute, all in the backdrop of a civil-military fusion engine that we have not seen before, is worth our careful attention. Militarily, we now face extreme challenges across vast distances, contested domains, new battlegrounds of space and cyber, extremely capable advanced long-range weapons and sensors, low observable aircraft, drones, extremely sophisticated integrated networks specifically tailored to beat us. However, I think that we can overcome this. We can beat this through an integrated mosaic of capabilities across domains with a near infinite web of options for combatant commanders. And this is how we compete, and this is how we win. I believe in opportunity. A great book that I really enjoy is Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. And one of the things that Malcolm Gladwell says is that the success stories that we think are completely random are actually not completely random. They're often the intersection of basically no perfect self-made person, the intersection of a product of very unique environments with a bias for success during specific times in history where the market conditions were just right. So while the lack of these circumstances can be overcome, it's often the intersection of all of these where great people and great organizations are bred. I'll give you a quick example that Malcolm Gladwell talks about is with Bill Gates, right? Bill Gates was a math prodigy, but he happened to grow up within walking distance of one of the best computers at the time in the late 60s, early 70s at the University of Washington, that as an 8th grader, he was allowed to have unfettered access to and have as much coding experience as most computer science college majors. So the intersection of that and being born into a condition where his parents put him in a great school, being a math prodigy and having access to that is why he was in a successful position. I also believe in perseverance. So I grew up in upstate New York. I was a great Buffalo Bills fan. As everybody knows, they won 4 Super Bowls in the 90s. They actually lost 4 Super Bowls in the 90s, as you all know. Sorry, Dad. But Marv Levy was their coach, and they always circled the wagons under Marv Levy, and he always said, is there any other place you'd rather be than right here and right now? I was a high school wrestling captain of my team. My coach always said you're a great practice wrestler, but you rarely take your shots in the match. So you rarely have a perfect shot in life. So every time you fail, continue to take your shots. And then my daughter's favorite musical, Hamilton, she always talks about Alexander Hamilton. I'm not giving away my shot. So I believe in that perseverance. So I say all this because the perfect intersection of this need or this competition and these people or these opportunities and the grit or the perseverance is why great organizations realize their true potential. And I think this organization has that ability right now in this intersection. Our laser focus at MDTF is going to be across the test enterprise in direct support of warfighters and combatant commands tonight in aid of the National Defense Strategy of the DoD to compete, deter, and who, when called upon, those people will fight. The how. Our mission drivers and our weight of efforts are going to be directly in alignment with the SecAF's operational imperatives. The operational imperatives, which I'll highlight very briefly, we carry very unique relationships across AFTC and all the different organizations across Eglin, Edwards, Arnold, Holloman, and our partners here at Nellis, whether it's commander to commander, engineer to engineer, or analyst to analyst, the ability we have and the relationships we have across those partners, our Navy partners, and across the whole of government is why I think we're going to get after these. Real briefly, the first one, space order of battle. The space is the ultimate high ground. The second one, operationally focused air battle management. Quite simply, the Internet of Things of the military, connecting any sensor and any shooter. The third, moving target engagement. Quite simply, stationary targets are just easy, but moving targets are hard. And we're getting after these in all of the different test flag events and several other events. Tactical air dominance. I've been lucky enough to fly both the Eagle and the Raptor, the aircraft that for the last 50 years have been the pinnacle of air dominance. But where we're moving in the future is not a single platform solution. It's an integrated single-man platform and a family of systems and technologies. And our relationships with that organization will bear fruit in the future. Resilient basing, global strike, or the bomber family of systems. And then finally, the readiness to deploy and fight. And then what's the what? So we talked about the why, we talked about the how. Well, here's my what. My what is that my command duty is that I actually, no kidding, read Air Force culture, Air Force 1-2. And what it talks about is that as a commander, I'm expected to display exemplary conduct as outlined in Title 10, U.S. Code 8583. So it's no kidding written into law, so I'll tell you what I will do. I will show a good example of virtue, honor, and patriotism in subordination. I'll be vigilant in inspecting the conduct of the people under my command. I'll guard against and suppress all dissolute immoral practices. I'll promote the safeguard, morale, well-being, general welfare of the people under my command. And as a commander, I will execute the mission through accepting risks. I'll lead people vertically through vertical two-way and horizontal lateral communication. I'll manage resources, and I'll improve the unit and the culture. I say all these things because, not all commanders are leaders. And I may promise to execute these duties. I've been assigned to be your commander, but I haven't been assigned to be your leader. So I ask that you give me the opportunity and deserving of your trust so I can also be your leader. So in closing, I'm incredibly humbled to be here. I'm grateful for this opportunity. I believe command is not a right, but a privilege. I will wear many hats for these next 2 years, namely commander, director, tester, mentor, but most importantly, leader and servant to the mission and the people. I believe we're at an inflection point in our nation's history. And I don't know about you personally, but I want to live a life that I'm excited to tell my grandkids about. I will ensure we're laser focused on war-winning capabilities, which means delivering and protecting and exercising them. I believe that MDTF can accelerate change through changing the way we test, changing the way we think, and being postured to test anything, anywhere, and anytime. I believe you don't have to have your perfect shot. You just need the right combination of perseverance, opportunity, and competition. So let's not throw away our shot, because there's no other place I'd rather be than right here and right now.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Fritts. We look forward to working with you as you become an integral part of our family. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Air Force song and the departure of the official party. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. On behalf of the participants and their families, we thank you for attending and ask you to join us at the Nellis Club for reception to honor Lieutenant Colonel Fritts and his family.